Welcome to sleep with myth. Close your eyes and let the world fade away. Tonight we drift beyond time, where gods dream and stories remember their light. Night came quietly to the world's edge. Not the edge of a map, nor the edge of a land, but the edge of time itself, where the wind moved slower and the stars flickered as if remembering ancient fears. Aaron stood alone beneath the fractured sky, his lantern trembling in his hand. It wasn't the cold that shook him. It was the dream, the same dream, 3 nights in a row. The dream that should not exist anymore. He closed his eyes, hearing again the whisper that had reached him from beyond sleep. The sleeper is stirring. Aaron had woken gasping, heart pounding. The echo of those words wrapped around his soul like falling ash. For centuries, long before Aaron was born, long before the houses in his village were built from cedar and hope, people believed the sleeper at the edge of time held the world's final dream. A dream no one must touch. A dream no one must see. A dream that must remain asleep. Because if it woke, time would unravel like string pulled too far. Aaron swallowed, gripping his lantern tighter. No one dreams of the sleeper, he whispered to himself. Not anymore, not for generations. And yet, he had, 3 times. The horizon shimmered with faint blue light, gentle as breath, steady as heartbeat. That was where he had to go. The place where the world thinned, where dreams brushed against the air like drifting embers. Where the sleeper lay. Aaron took a step forward. The ground beneath him felt different, soft, humming, as if remembering footsteps from ages past. Why me? He murmured. The wind answered with silence. So he walked.
The path curved toward a cliff carved by centuries of forgotten tides. Below, the sea of hours churned softly, waves breaking with faint chimes instead of sound. Time flowed differently here. If Aaron leaned too close, he might see echoes of things that hadn't happened yet. He tried not to look. Instead, his focus remained on the shimmering horizon. Pulsed, once, twice, like someone breathing in a deep sleep. The sleeper. Aaron felt the dream-stirring pull at him again, tugging somewhere behind his ribs. Presence. A call older than the sky. He reached the cliff's edge. There, resting upon a stone altar covered in silver dust, lay a single feather. It glowed faintly with pale blue light. Aaron froze. A dream feather. These were said to fall only when the sleeper shifted in its slumber, and only one person could touch it without losing themselves. A guardian. But guardians were old tales. Ancient protectors who had vanished long before Aaron's village was born. He wasn't a guardian. He wasn't anyone. And yet, when he reached out, the feather pulsed warmly beneath his fingers, as if recognizing him. Aaron gasped. Images flashed behind his eyes. A corridor of drifting lights. A massive figure asleep in a cradle of stars. A voice whispering his name. Not from outside, but inside the dream itself. Aaron, he stumbled back, breath ragged. No, that's impossible. But the feather glowed brighter. The wind shifted, and behind him, a quiet voice spoke. You touched it. Aaron whirled around. An elderly woman stood behind him, wrapped in a cloak woven from twilight colors. Her eyes shimmered like mirrors reflecting both dawn and dusk. Who are you? Aaron whispered. She stepped forward. I am the last watcher, she said softly. The final one who remembers the ancient warnings.
Her gaze drifted to the glowing feather in his hand. And you, Aaron of the quiet village, are the one the sleeper has chosen. Aaron shook his head violently. Chosen for what? The watcher's voice dropped to a whisper carried by the trembling wind. To walk into the dream before it wakes. Aaron's heart stilled. No, I can't. I'm not a guardian. Her expression softened. Then why, she said, does the sleeper call your name? The feather burned brighter, warm as breath, soft as sorrow. Aaron stared at it, fear rising like a tide in his chest. The watcher pointed to the glowing horizon. The path is opening. Once you step into it, the dream will claim you. But if you do not go, she looked up at the fractured sky, where starlight flickered like shattering glass. The world will forget how to wake. The lantern in Aaron's hand dimmed. The feather pulsed, once, twice, like a heartbeat calling him home. Aaron took a trembling breath. I'm afraid. You should be, the watcher said gently. Only those who fear understand what must be protected. Aaron looked at the horizon, at the feather, at the sky of fractures above him. Then he stepped forward. The world shifted.
The world tilted. For a heartbeat Aaron felt weightless, caught between one breath and the next, between waking and dreaming. Colors stretched like ribbons of light around him, bending, folding, then collapsing into a single path stretching into the unknown. He stumbled forward, boots skidding against a floor that should not exist. It was not stone, not earth, not anything a waking world could name. The floor was made of hours, glimmering pieces of time, transparent and shifting like glass that remembered too much. Aaron steadied himself. Where am I? The watcher's voice echoed faintly from behind him, already fading from reach. You walk the corridor of unraveling hours, between the world that breathes and the dream that sleeps. Then her voice was gone. Aaron turned. There was no cliff behind him, no sea, no fractured sky, only the corridor. It stretched endlessly, glowing faintly with drifting shards of memory. Shadowed figures moving in and out of existence, whispers trapped inside suspended droplets of light, the echoes of moments not yet lived. Aaron felt a shiver crawl down his spine. He was inside the sleeper's dream, and the dream was falling apart. A soft hum vibrated through the air. Aaron looked up. Above him, thousands, no millions, of tiny dreamlights floated like pale fireflies. Each one pulsed with a different color, a different rhythm. He reached toward one, and it drifted close enough for him to see inside it. A mother holding a child beneath a dawn sky. A soldier whispering a promise before battle. A young girl releasing a lantern into the wind. Dreams that belonged to people he had never met, yet somehow felt familiar. Aaron's breath caught. Are these everyone's dreams? A voice answered from the corridor ahead, gentle, distant, yet impossibly old. They are what remains. Aaron froze.
A figure stood far down the corridor, cloaked in something that looked like woven starlight. Not the sleeper. Aaron felt that instantly. The sleeper would be a mountain of presence, a vast and ancient being. But this felt like a shadow shaped from longing. Who are you? Aaron asked, voice unsteady. The figure did not move closer. The corridor simply bent slightly so that distance folded like fabric, bringing the figure within reach. I am a remnant, it said softly. One of the last echoes left behind when a dream collapses. Aaron swallowed. Why are you here? To warn you. The corridor dimmed. Time shards flickered. The drifting fireflies of dreamlight dimmed to a sickly pale. Aaron's pulse quickened. Warn me about what? The remnant lifted its head, and Aaron saw that it had no face, only a hollow surface rippling like disturbed water. The sleeper stirs, it whispered, and each time it breathes, an hour dies. Aaron stepped back. Dies? What does that mean? Before the remnant could answer, a violent tremor tore through the corridor. Shards of time cracked beneath Aaron's feet like thin ice. He staggered. The remnant's voice sharpened. Look! Aaron looked down. Through the now fractured floor, he saw windows into the waking world. A child forgetting her oldest dream. A fisherman staring at a shoreline he no longer recognized. A village elder's memories unraveling like dust in the wind. Pieces of time collapsing. No, no, that can't be happening. The sleeper's stirring pulls hours out of order, the remnant said. Moments vanish. People lose the pieces of themselves built from dreams. The corridor trembled again. The remnant flickered. You must reach the sleeper before the final thread breaks. Aaron stood frozen. I'm not ready. No one is ready, the remnant answered. That is why only the chosen are called. Aaron shook his head. I'm not chosen. I'm just.
The remnant leaned close, and though it had no eyes, Aaron felt it staring into him. You touched the dream feather. You survived the call. You walked the corridor without dissolving. It lifted a hand dripping with pale dreamlight. Aaron. That is what makes you the guardian. Aaron's breath caught. Guardian. The word weighed on him like a mantle of starlight and sorrow. Before he could respond, the corridor ahead cracked open with a sound like a sigh escaping the bones of the world. A distant heartbeat, deep, slow, ancient, echoed through the corridor. Boom, boom, boom. The sleeper. Aaron's knees weakened. The heartbeat grows louder, the remnant whispered. You do not have long. Aaron swallowed, then nodded. Tell me what I must do. The remnant stepped back, dissolving into drifting threads of silver mist. Follow the heartbeat. But beware. Its voice became a fading echo. Not all dreams wish to be remembered. Darkness folded inward, and Aaron walked deeper into the heartbeat of the sleeper. Aaron walked. He did not know how long minutes, hours, or entire lifetimes. Time in the corridor of unraveling hours had no shape, no rhythm, no promise. It stretched and folded, twisted and drifted, as unstable as a dream trying to decide what it wanted to be. But one thing did not waver. The heartbeat. Boom. A sound that vibrated through the bones of the corridor. Slow, ancient, powerful. A pulse that felt less like a living creature and more like a world shifting in its sleep. Aaron followed it. He moved past drifting strands of light, dreams that had lost their dreamers. They floated like wilted petals, dim and flickering. One brushed against his arm. Instantly, he felt a memory that wasn't his. A boy standing beside a river, waiting for someone who never returned. A lantern slipping from small hands. A whispered promise swallowed by night. Aaron gasped and pulled away. The dream dissolved. The corridor sighed.
Not all dreams wish to be remembered, the remnant had said. Aaron swallowed and kept walking. The memory of tomorrow. The glow beneath his feet thickened. The corridor curved into a spiral, and with each step, Aaron glimpsed fragments through the fractured floor. A sky he had not yet seen. A future where his village was silent. A moment where his own footsteps faded like dust. Time itself was unraveling. Aaron clenched his fists. I have to hurry. But the corridor fought him. Waves of resistance rippled through the air, like the dream itself was trying to push him back. Shadows formed at the edges of his vision, shapes that flickered like broken thoughts. One of them stepped into his path. Aaron froze. It was vaguely human, but hollow. A silhouette made of smoke and forgotten words. Its voice was a whisper. "Turn back." Aaron shook his head. "No." The silhouette stretched toward him, fingers like strands of unraveling cloth. "Turn back, or be unmade." Aaron stumbled backward, heart hammering. "I can't. If I turn back, if I do nothing, the sleeper will wake." The shadow tilted its head. Then its voice shifted into Aaron's voice. "You are too small to save anything." Aaron flinched. The words pierced too deeply. Words he had once whispered to himself on lonely nights. Words he had feared were true. But then he heard another voice, the Watcher's whisper. "Only those who fear understand what must be protected." Aaron stepped forward. "I'm afraid," he told the shadow, "but I'm still going." Light burst from the dream feather in his hand. The shadow recoiled, shuddered, and unraveled into dust. The corridor brightened. Aaron exhaled shakily and continued.
The spiral straightened, opening into a vast space. An immense circular chamber where countless doors floated in the air. Each door drifted slowly, glowing with faint light. They had no walls, no hinges. Just frames suspended in dream stuff, turning like leaves in a gentle current. Aaron's breath caught. "What is this?" A whisper answered, from nowhere and everywhere. "The doors of dreams that were never opened." Aaron turned, but there was no remnant, no figure. Only the voice of the corridor itself. Dreams people feared. Dreams people abandoned. Dreams that slipped away. Aaron drifted through the chamber. Each door pulsed with a different emotion. Loneliness, joy, grief, hope, regret. When he touched one, it glowed warmly, showing him a young musician who had never played her final song. When he touched another, coldness seeped into his fingers. A warrior who had never forgiven himself. Aaron whispered, "I shouldn't be here." The heartbeat thundered again. Closer now, stronger. Boom! The chamber flickered violently. Many doors cracked, shattered, dissolved into silence. Aaron's stomach twisted. "The sleeper's dream is collapsing," he murmured. He ran deeper into the chamber, past breaking doors, past dissolving memories, past the echo of forgotten yesterdays, until he reached it, a door unlike the others, not floating, not glowing, but standing firmly on the ground, solid, ancient, made of stone wrapped in threads of starlight. Aaron touched it. The dream feather pulsed. "It's connected," he whispered, "to the sleeper." The door trembled. A deep voice rumbled through the chamber. "You walk too close." Aaron froze. From behind the door came breathing. Slow, heavy, endless. The sleeper. Even through the stone, its presence pressed against him like the weight of mountains. The voice came again. "Why do you disturb my last dream, guardian?" Aaron's heart nearly stopped. It knew him, said the word, guardian.
Aaron whispered back, voice shaking, "Because your dream is breaking, and the world is breaking with it." Silence. Then, a sound like a sigh stirring the stars. "You should not have been chosen." Aaron's breath caught. "I was chosen," he said, "because I listened." The dream feather blazed. The door split down the center, light pouring through the crack like dawn forcing its way into night. The sleeper's voice murmured, "Then come and see what must not be seen." The chamber vanished, and Aaron fell into the heart of the sleeper's dream. Aaron did not feel himself land. One moment he was falling, spiraling through a tunnel of fractured light, echoes and drifting shards of broken moments. and the next, he stood on a surface so still and reflective it resembled a mirror polished by centuries of silence. Except it wasn't a mirror. It was the dream sea, the sea that existed only inside the sleeper's last dream. Aaron's knees weakened as he stared around him. The dream sea stretched infinitely, touched by no horizon, painted in colors no waking world had ever known. Hues of silver violet, deep azure, flickering gold ripples moving in patterns too precise to be natural, too fluid to be crafted. Above him, the sky was nothing. No stars, no moon, no sun. Only the outline of something massive and impossible resting far in the distance. A shadow the size of a mountain curled beneath a shroud of drifting starlight threads. The sleeper. Aaron felt the weight of its slumber pressing on his ribs, slowing his breath. He whispered, barely audible, "I shouldn't be here." A soft ripple disturbed the dream sea. Aaron turned sharply. A figure stepped toward him, but its feet did not disturb the water. Its steps passed through the surface like mist touching mist. A child. A little girl no older than 7, wearing a robe woven from dusk and dawn. Her eyes shimmered, bright silver, hollow and echoing with countless reflected worlds.
Aaron whispered, "Who are you?" The child tilted her head. "I am the part of the sleeper that remembers," she said calmly. "A memory of its first dream, the one before all others." Aaron felt a chill. "A memory? But you look human." The child smiled sadly. "I look like the last dream the sleeper ever loved." Aaron's breath caught. "You said you're a memory. Why are you here?" She offered her small hand. "To guide you." Aaron hesitated. "Guide me where?" The child turned to the farthest edge of the dream sea, where the massive shadow pulsed softly. To the sleeper's heart. To the place where the first dream began, and where the last dream unravels. Aaron's pulse hammered. "Why me?" he asked under his breath. "Why am I the guardian?" The child did not face him, but her voice carried weight far older than her shape. "Because you listened when others turned away. You saw what others feared to see. You believed dreams mattered, even the forgotten ones." She looked back at him. "And because the sleeper spoke your name." Aaron stepped back. "No, I don't believe that. I'm nobody." The dream sea rippled violently beneath his feet. The child's expression darkened. "Do not deny what you carry, Aaron." The dream feather in his hand pulsed like burning starlight. Aaron swallowed. "What do I carry?" he whispered. The child's voice softened. "The power to remind the sleeper why it dreamed." A wave of windless force rippled across the dream sea. The sleeper stirred. The mountain that breathes. The colossal shadow in the distance uncurled slightly. Aaron dropped to his knees. The pressure was overwhelming. Not violent, but immense, like standing at the bottom of the deepest ocean. The air thickened. The colors dimmed. The dream sea trembled. The child placed her hand gently on Aaron's shoulder. "Be still. Its breath is not meant to harm you. The sleeper has no desire to destroy, but dreams turn violent when they are afraid."
Aaron forced himself to breathe. What does it fear? The child's face clouded. Waking. Aaron froze. But why? If it wakes, the world will collapse, the child whispered. Time will fold. Everything that has ever breathed, loved, remembered, or hoped will unravel. Aaron felt his stomach twist. Then why does it stir? The child looked away. Because a dream must eventually end, and the sleeper has slept far too long. The dream sea cracked at the edges like thin glass. The sleeper's breath deepened. The child's voice broke slightly as she whispered, "You must remind it that some dreams are meant to continue." The child led Aaron across the dream sea. As they walked, the water darkened, revealing shapes beneath its surface. Not fish, not shadows, dreams, fragments drifting just beneath the sea like lost spirits. A forgotten promise, a half-remembered lullaby, a door that no longer opens, a heartbeat that once meant everything. Aaron whispered, "These are my dreams." "Yes," the child replied, "and not only yours. Every dream you ever brushed against, every dream you passed by, every dream you believed in without knowing it." Aaron kneeled, fingers trembling as he touched a floating dream. A simple image of a young Aaron sitting in the grass, watching the stars with longing. The image dissolved into ripples. Aaron's throat tightened. "I remember that night." The child nodded. "The sleeper remembers all dreamers." A loud crack rang out across the dream sea. The sleeper moved. Slowly, massively, inevitably. The child's voice sharpened. "We must go. Now." Aaron rose, clutching the dream feather. "What awaits us?" he whispered. The girl looked toward the horizon. "Truth."
The world lurched. The dream sea erupted in spirals of light, and Aaron fell forward as the doorway to the sleeper's heart opened beneath him. A spiral of dreams, memories, fears, and ancient starlight. He had no time to scream, no time to breathe, only time to fall deeper into the dream that was ending, or the dream he must save. Aaron hit the ground with a soft thud, but there was no pain. The surface beneath him felt like woven mist, thick enough to hold his weight yet light enough to sway gently with his breath. He slowly lifted his head. The world around him had changed again. He was no longer on the dream sea, no longer walking the corridor of unraveling hours. He stood in a space that could only be described as the sleeper's heart, a place that pulsed with colors that didn't exist in the waking world. Shades of emotion, hues of memory. The air shimmered with soft, rhythmic vibrations, every pulse echoing the sleeper's breath. The chamber was vast, shaped not by walls but by dreams. Threads of starlight drifted like floating rivers. Echoes of forgotten hopes curled along the edges of vision. And in the center of it all, a great cradle formed from woven time, glowing softly. Inside it, something enormous slumbered. Not a body, not a being with shape, but a presence. A universe curled into the shape of a dream. The sleeper. Aaron's breath trembled. "I'm inside its heart." A whisper floated behind him. "Not inside. Before." Aaron turned sharply. The child stood there, the memory girl, now glowing brighter, as if the closer they came to the sleeper, the more real she became.
"What does that mean?" Aaron asked. She stepped forward, barefoot on the pulsating mist. "This is the first place the sleeper ever imagined. The beginning of all dreams. The birthplace of possibility." Aaron stared at the glowing cradle. Even asleep, the sleeper radiated warmth like a star wrapped in centuries of longing. "If this place unravels," the child whispered, "all dreams unravel with it." Aaron swallowed hard. "Then tell me what to do. I'm ready." But the child did not answer. Instead, the ground beneath them shivered. A tear opened in the air behind Aaron. Small at first, then widening with a trembling hiss. Through the tear, he saw flashes of the waking world. A mother staring blankly at her child, forgetting the lullaby she had sung every night. an elder blinking in confusion at his own daughter's face. A village losing its stories. Aaron felt sickness sweep through him. It's happening faster. The child nodded. The sleeper's stirring has accelerated. If its heart beats in fear, the tear widens. If the tear widens, the world forgets itself, Aaron finished. Yes, the sleeper shifted, only slightly, but the entire chamber trembled, as if time itself feared what might come next. Aaron pressed a hand over his heart, where the dream feather pulsed warmly. "Tell me how to remind it," he whispered. The child shook her head. "You cannot remind something so ancient with words." Aaron frowned. "Then how?" "With truth." She lifted her hand and pointed toward the sleeper's cradle. "You must step inside." Aaron's blood ran cold. Inside? The sleeper? Yes. That sounds like death. "Perhaps it will be," the child said gently. "But without it, all will be lost." Aaron stared at the cradle, heart pounding. He imagined stepping into that swirling universe of dreams. Would he dissolve? Would he lose himself? Would any piece of Aaron remain? The child spoke again, softly.
The sleeper is afraid. All beings fear the end of their dream. Even gods. Even ancient guardians of time. Aaron's voice cracked. "I'm afraid too." "Good," she said. "Fear keeps you whole." The chamber dimmed suddenly, and a voice. Not from outside, not from within, but through the air itself, whispered, "Guardian." Aaron froze. The sleeper was speaking. To him. Another whisper followed, like a fading memory struggling for form. "Why do you walk my dream?" Aaron stepped forward, legs shaking. "Because your dream is ending," he whispered, "and the world needs you to remember why you dreamed at all." A sorrowful rumble answered, "I dreamed because I was lonely." Aaron's breath broke. The child lowered her eyes. "All things begin from longing." Aaron took another step. "Then let me remind you," he whispered, "that you are not alone." The dream feather flared. The cradle opened just slightly, inviting him forward. Aaron hesitated. The child placed her small hand in his. "You will not go alone," she whispered. "I am the first dream it ever trusted. I will walk with you." Aaron nodded once, tears gathering in his eyes. "Then let's go." Together, they stepped into the cradle. Light exploded. Not brightness, meaning. Thousands of memories washed over Aaron at once. A universe forming. Stars awakening like newborn lungs. Time learning its first steps. Dreams whispering their first questions. Loneliness stretching like an ocean with no horizon. He staggered, gripping the child's hand tightly. "What is all this?" The child's voice floated beside him, warm and soft. The sleeper's truth. They stood now within a swirling cosmos, no up, no down, no direction. Only drifting worlds of emotion and hope. Aaron saw a tiny light, fragile, flickering, small as a candle in an endless dark. "That," the child whispered, "is the very first dream." Aaron stepped closer. "It's beautiful." "It is dying," she said.
And indeed, the tiny dream flickered, its glow weakening each moment. Aaron knelt beside it. "What do I do?" he whispered. "Show it why it mattered." Aaron closed his eyes. He let the dream feather guide him. And he spoke. Not to the sleeper, not to the child, but to the tiny dream trembling before him. "You gave the first light meaning. You gave the stars a reason to shine. You made loneliness bloom into life. You birthed every story ever told, every hope, every memory, every dream I have ever loved. The tiny light brightened. Aaron continued, "You are not forgotten. You are not ending. You are the beginning of everything." The dream pulsed. A slow, deep heartbeat echoed across the cosmos. Aaron held his breath, and the fading light surged back to life. The chamber erupted in brilliance. The child smiled, glowing brighter than ever. "You did it," she whispered. Behind them, the sleeper, the ancient being curled in the cradle of time, exhaled softly. Peaceful breath. The cracks in the dream sea closed. The unraveling doors of forgotten dreams reformed. The corridor of unraveling hours steadied. Dreams began to heal. Aaron felt the chamber pulling him back, gently, gratefully, like a sigh of relief from the universe itself. His vision blurred. The child's voice echoed as she faded from sight. "Remember, guardian, some dreams must be protected, even from themselves." Aaron opened his eyes. He was back on the cliff. The sea of hours shimmered below. The sky was whole again. A single dream feather rested in his palm, glowing softly, peacefully. And for the first time in ages, the sleeper slept without fear.
Aaron stood at the cliff's edge as dawn unfurled slowly across the horizon, washing the world with a soft gold that felt almost unreal. The sea of hours below shimmered in colors that rippled with a gentler rhythm, as if time, once frayed and trembling, was learning how to breathe again. For a long moment he said nothing. He simply watched. Waves no longer chimed with distortion. They rang clear, harmonious, each crest catching the light like the soft stroke of a brush across the canvas of the world. Aaron touched the dream feather in his hand. It glowed faintly warm, a reminder of everything he'd seen, everything he'd carried, and everything he had given back to the sleeper. A whisper stirred around him, like the first breath of morning wind, through untouched forests. "You returned." Aaron turned. The last watcher stood behind him, cloak shifting like dusk leaning into dawn. Her eyes reflected the healed sky, no longer fractured, no longer trembling. Aaron nodded slowly. "I wasn't sure I would." "No one who enters the sleeper's heart returns unchanged," she said. "But you returned whole." Aaron looked back at the sea of hours. "Did I truly help? Or did I only delay the end?" The watcher stepped beside him. "You reminded the sleeper why it dreamed," she said. "And that is not a thing small enough to fade." She looked down at the dream feather. "And it gave you a gift." Aaron frowned. "A gift?" The feather brightened in answer. A soft pulse, almost like a heartbeat. "As long as you carry this," the watcher whispered, "you will know when dreams falter, and you will hear the call long before the world feels the first tremor." Aaron swallowed. "You're saying I'm meant to continue this?" "You are the guardian," the watcher said, "not just of the sleeper, but of all dreams that remember their beginning." Aaron let the weight of that settle, heavier than fear, yet lighter than purpose. "Will it wake again?" he asked.
The watcher looked toward the horizon, where the first rays of sunlight kissed the shimmering waves. "All dreams wake, Aaron," she said, "but not all wake in fear." He breathed slowly. "And if it forgets again?" She smiled faintly. "You will remind it." Aaron wasn't sure whether that comforted him or terrified him. Maybe both. Maybe that was what it meant to guard something ancient enough to dream. The universe into being. The quiet path home. They walked together along the cliff, the stone warm beneath their feet. The village roofs glimmered in the distance, small and peaceful. Too peaceful to ever know how close they had come to losing their stories entirely. Aaron stopped halfway down the path. "Will I see the memory girl again?" he asked softly. "The child who guided me?" The watcher paused, and for the first time her expression dimmed with something like melancholy. "She was the first dream," she said, "the spark that lit the sleeper's long slumber. When you healed the sleeper's heart, she returned to where she belonged." Aaron felt a small ache form in his chest. "I didn't get to say goodbye." "You did," the watcher said gently, "when you reminded the sleeper why it dreamed. You spoke also to her." Aaron wasn't sure if that made it better, but the feather pulsed again in his hand, a soft, reassuring warmth, and he knew she was not gone. Not truly. The feather and the sunrise. The village came into view. Smoke rose from early morning hearths. Laughter drifted faintly from the fishermen preparing their boats. Life continued, unaware of the silence that had nearly swallowed it whole.
Aaron stood at the boundary between the cliff path and the first stone house. The watcher remained behind him, watching the sunrise with quiet reverence. "Will you come with me?" Aaron asked. The watcher shook her head slowly. "My place is here, at the edge of time. I listen so the world does not forget how fragile dreams are." She touched Aaron's shoulder. "And you walk so the world does not forget how strong they can be." Aaron nodded, a promise more spoken in his heart than aloud. He turned toward his village. The dream feather glowed. Its light drifted across the path before him like tiny guiding lanterns. He followed them. Children were already playing when he arrived. An old man waved from a porch. A young woman knelt by the riverside washing clothes, humming a tune. Everything was familiar. Everything was ordinary. Everything was safe. Aaron inhaled the morning breeze and felt something deep within him settle into place. He wasn't the same person who had walked to the cliff last night, but he was still Aaron. Aaron of the quiet village. Aaron of the listening heart. Aaron, the guardian of dreams. He lifted the dream feather, watching its soft glow shimmer in the daylight. Somewhere far beyond the horizon, in a cradle woven from starlight and the breath of time, the sleeper rested peacefully, his dream no longer unraveling, his heart no longer afraid. Aaron stepped forward into the warmth of morning, whispering a promise, carried only by the wind. "I'll listen, for as long as dreams need me." Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth.